So we've looked at enums, structs, and classes. The next step after that is protocols. Protocols are similar to classes, except they have no member variables and no method implementations, only method signatures. It's best to look at an example. So a very simple protocol might look like this. Okay, I'm just creating kind of a random protocol called action listener, and I've defined or declared one function in this protocol. Okay, but there's just this signature, there's just the heading for it. There's no actual implementation for it. And you can add multiple functions. I'm just making up kind of random ones. Okay, and that's all fine and dandy. Protocols support that. Now, to inherit this protocol, you do something similar to what you would do with a parent class. Return a subclass of class. So let's say you have a class called X, and you want to inherit from this protocol. Well, you just do it the same way as you would for a class, in this case. Except, you'll notice all these errors here all of a sudden. Well, what's going on is the protocols don't have any method definitions. But yet your class is saying, I want to inherit from this protocol. That means this class has to implement all of these functions. Okay, so you have to actually put in valid functions in this part. We're just going to leave them blank for now, just to get this compiler to stop complaining. But in reality, you'd put actual functionality inside there. Okay. But right now, we're doing a bunch of blank functions, implementations. And that's enough to quiet the compiler. But the point is just that when you inherit from a protocol, you are promising to implement all the functions in that protocol. Now, what's the purpose of protocols? Right now, it might seem really silly, right? Protocols have less functionality than classes. Why not just use classes? Well, the most practical reason why protocols exist is classes are great, right? But you can only inherit from one class. However, you can inherit from multiple protocols. Okay, so that gives you a lot of flexibility when you want to agree to implement a bunch of different functions and sort of declare that these are the functions you're implementing. Allows you to basically design your code in a way that is extremely decoupled and very flexible. To fully appreciate protocols is beyond the scope of this class, but just know that they're extremely useful for more advanced design patterns. You're going to see them probably early on when you deal with interface builder and when you start to build GUIs, because much of the common best practices in GUI design involves delegates, which are really just glorified protocols. And again, that's a little too deep for us to get into at this point in time, but just a heads up that when you see delegate, pretty much they mean protocols, and they're trying to design things in a way that's very flexible and decoupled. I know that a lot of those words don't mean anything to you, but in your future self, 6 months from now, a year from now, when you're an iOS ninja, then hopefully you'll remember these few statements and realize, oh, that's what he was talking about. This is what the whole purpose of protocols really is. One more thing about protocols. Let's say you wanted to subclass and also inherit from multiple protocols. What does that even look like? Okay. So let's say we have a class shape, which I'm not going to fully define. I'm just going to leave it blank for now. But then we want to subclass from shape. Let's create box. And then also implement a few protocols. again, just making up some protocols right now. I'm going to come up with some random stuff. Okay. So if you want to actually implement multiple protocols while also inheriting from a parent class, then the rule is you have to put that parent class first. Okay. And so that means shape goes there, and then the rest of the protocols can be in any order. Okay, so it doesn't matter if button listener or action listener is second or third. Okay, but shape has to be first in your list of items here. Okay, before we keep going though, let's just look at this warning real quick, or this error real quick. Okay, what does it say? Type box does not conform to protocol button listener. This is a really common error that you'll see a lot. Paste to understand what it means. What it means is that here you're agreeing to implement button listeners methods, right? But you haven't done so. And sure enough, we're missing a function x. Okay, so let's go ahead and just put that in there. Have it do nothing. And just like that, compiler is happy. Okay, so that's how you use protocols in a very nuts and bolts kind of way. Really exploring the idea of design around protocols is much more advanced and kind of not necessary at this point in your education. But just know a few months from now, or as you get more advanced, protocols have a very powerful purpose to decouple your code and make your design much more clean. They're used all the time in Swift.